Um, I think it's on now.
Mhm.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We are back for another Facebook Live with Dr. Nelva Bryant. And we have an exciting guest for you with us today. We're exceptionally excited because he's a great man, but we know you'll fall in love with him as soon as you meet him on our screen. And hopefully you'll look into him if you don't know him already. But today's guest is Dr. Adam Christman. And so we'll get into that later. But for now, I want you, for people who don't know Dr. Nelva Bryant, Dr. Bryant, please introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Nelva Bryant. I'm a veterinarian and I'm working in the airline industry. Actually, I'm working for Delta Airlines at this present time as their on-staff consulting veterinarian. I believe from working with Delta and my background, I like to share insight to help pet parents prepare for future pet travel in cabin or going by cargo. So that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm about. And I'm really passionate about helping you get prepared for air travel with your pet.
Thank you so much. So, Dr. Bryant is also known as the pet travel expert. So, if you ever have questions about your journey you're going to take with your pet, your cat or dog, or if you've come back from a journey with your cat or dog, Dr. Bryant is a great resource for you to reach out to and ask questions. Especially beforehand, because she loves to help pet parents prepare with different things. Um, so, Dr. Bryant, I'd like to just recap over a couple of episodes we had before. So,
Yes.
last week, which was also a very exciting week, I believe that was the week that we had Gail Marks.
Yes. Yes.
And she is the founder, as you all know from watching our live. She is the founder and creator of Sherpa Pets, the pet. I'm sorry, the carrier that is officially basically that broke the mold, created the mold, broke the mold, and is allowing all of our pets to go online in cabin with us.
And if
Um,
you don't mind jumping in real quick, and also she revolutionized the whole in cabin as far as transporting a pet. She's the pioneer. Because of her, you're allowed to travel with your pets in cabin. So kudos to Gail Marks.
Absolutely. So it was great listening to her and her journey. And also, I just want to remind all of the pets, with when you're traveling on the plane with your cat or dog, please make sure that you have a regulation size a carrier. And just to avoid, guessing which one it is, you might as well just get yourself a Sherpa pet carrier, and you'll be safe. Also, that entire bag line, they also guarantee that there will be no problems with boarding with your pet through a program that they have that works in conjunctions with airlines. So also another episode that we had prior,
Mhm.
that was with Global Vet Link,
Mhm.
and they have a new program out to help pet parents in their travels through airline. I believe the website is flywithmypet.com,
Yes.
and it helps you get your paperwork together. And of course, part of that is also getting is it certification with health certification with your veterinarian?
Yes, I love the website because it gives you at least some of the information that's required for transporting your pet, and definitely you're going to need to see your veterinarian to ensure that you get the health certificate or international health certificate documentation done for your animal. So gives you a guideline of what you need to for the pet parents to understand what they need to do. So it's outstanding.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great. Miss Doc, I'm sorry, Dr. Bryant, we like to always start the Facebook Lives off with a tip. So, is there anything that you can share, especially now that we're in the swing of holiday season? What tips or two that you can provide our pet parents?
Let's see. Well, I'm going to recap on an article that I wrote for Zounds fairly for last month. And one thing I wanted to remind everyone that when you're traveling internationally or even domestically, make sure you learn the requirements, especially for international, learn the requirements for your international destination and make sure you comply with those regulations, because if not, you can be denied entry. and it is going to involve meeting with your veterinarian. Be aware with these traveling internationally, if you're going to multiple countries, you may need to get documentation or meet the requirements for each country you visit. So be aware of that. Then also, you need to comply also with the airline as far as the requirements. Have you seen these? I just want your thoughts on this. What do you think about these recent episodes of cats? Well, first one was a cat being found in the luggage compartment through TSA inspection. Then the most recent one this past week is they found looks like a small dog in a backpack, and and I hate to say it, the person said they didn't realize that the airline had policies for transporting their pets. But either way, going through TSA security, they find a dog in a backpack. Please tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, number one, I don't think a backpack is I don't think it's the carrier that is going to be the best way to serve your pet in protecting them in the flight, in-cabin flight, because, as much as, you would think the carrier is to protect people from your pet. Really, I look at it as the opposite way. Your carrier should be a safe haven for your pet.
Oh, no.
And backpack will collapse and make it feel, too much like this. And I don't know. I don't think that's very smart.
I didn't think it was smart. I think, to be honest with you, the claim was that they weren't aware of policies for transporting animals. And I think my thought is, I think that's incorrect. I think they knew there was policies and they were trying to smuggle their pet. And unfortunately for their pet, they put it through the scanner in their attempt to try to smuggle it. Because I just feel like if you didn't know there were policies, why would it be concealed? Is my thought. You're right. A backpack is a terrible place it is not a pet transport. Anything to transport a pet in cabin is lacking ventilation, lacking the to allow the animal to move about and turn around and everything like that. So it's totally wrong. But again, based upon that, I really believe they were trying to smuggle the pet on board, to be honest with you, is my thought and everything. But I did learn something behind it, though. It's taboo. You don't want to put an animal through an X-ray scanning machine. But what I learned from, at least what I gathered from it, is that it showed that the scanner did not penetrate beyond the skin surface.
Okay.
And that's what I learned from it, because from a couple weeks ago when they found a cat in the luggage, again, you see the outline of it, and same as this one, you just saw the outline. So what it's telling you is that the X-ray is not strong enough to penetrate the skin on the animals. Still, long-term, don't know the impact of it, but at least we know it's not going internally on them. At least that's what I got out of it. So, yeah.
It's not like a regular X-ray.
And the other X-rays, basically, it's more voltage to get through the skin surface and see, the internal organs and other bones and what have you. So, but yeah, that's what I got out from. I mean, maybe I wasn't supposed to be looking at it that way, but that's what got my attention. I noticed. So, yeah.
Are there any other crazy episodes like that that you have encountered other than on the news?
Well, the other one on the news that I thought was interesting recently is the little cutie little French bulldog that went trotting down the aisle. They captured that. Yeah, and it was cute and it's sweet, but I'm always thinking the opposite of what it's saying. It's giving the impression that it's okay, and it's not okay for that to happen. You have people that could be fear of. You could have had a service dog that was actually there working, and this dog could have interfered with it doing its job. That was a sweet dog, but you might have another dog that's not too sweet and could have tried to bite someone. It could have eliminated itself on the aircraft. So it was cute, but I hope the perception is not that. Going back to when we had the emotional support dogs and all the stuff that happened with that. So I'm hoping we're not going. My hope is that it would not lead us down that path again.
I hear you. I noticed that Dr. Christman had to step away for a moment. So I guess we'll keep going until he comes back, and then just add him in as soon as he comes in. Let's see. Since we have a couple of extra minutes, is there, I I think one of the important things since we started talking about it was why don't we touch on the crates for a moment,
Mhm.
because we continue to get questions in regards to, oh, here's Dr. Christman. Okay, let's add him in. Hold on one second. Hello, Dr. Christman. How are you today?
Good, everyone. Thanks for having me on the show. Nice to see you all.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for joining us. So I am going to just introduce you to everyone by reading a few words, if you don't mind. So Dr. Adam Christman, DVM, MBA, is the Chief Veterinary Officer of DVM 360, an MJH Life Sciences company, who oversees content strategy and development and is the brand voice and personality for DVM 360's multimedia channels. As a charismatic leader, he brings wit, humor, and authenticity to animal healthcare as the host of a new web-based talk show, DVM 360 Live, the Vet Blast podcast, continuing education webinars and live media broadcasts. Christman also has been in private practice and shelter medicine for 18 years and is currently a member and treasurer of the New Jersey Veterinarian Medical Association. He received his DVM degree from Iowa State University's College of Veterinary Medicine in Ames, Iowa, and his MBA from Aspen University in Denver, Colorado. Everyone, please help me welcome Dr. Adam Christman. And we have our little clap machine.
I love that. Thanks so much for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, Dr. Christman, why don't you start off by telling everyone a little bit about yourself and what drove you to veterinarian medicine?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. So, we are in the best profession on the planet. Sorry, everybody. Hate to break it to you, but newsflash.
Yeah, we are.
We are. We're in the best because where else? I always take a step back and really, if you really think about this, like where else in the world can you take care of more than one species, both ends of the leash? You're taking care of people inadvertently as well, because when they're sick, we're sick. And, we also learn in school about ionic bonds, covalent bonds, but nothing is stronger than the human animal bond. And it's a blessing. It's a privilege to be in this field. And there's so many different incredible careers that we know of. Even Dr. Bryant is a great example of that, of what you do. And me, as I transitioned I still practice, but not as much, but into the multimedia. To those of you that don't know, veterinarians, veterinary technicians, they need a certain amount of continuing education hours to maintain their licensing throughout whatever state that they're in here in the United States. And a lot of countries lean on us for their continuing education needs. So it's a really great privilege to kind of find all the hot topics, what's important, what are the pain points that veterinarians, veterinary technicians need. So when they go across that stage to receive their diploma, we're on the other end to support their continuing education needs, whether it be through our talk shows, live events, and webinars. And with that, I've learned so many great people. I made great friends such as Dr. Bryant along the way. And it makes me so proud to be in this profession. I knew I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was 5 years old. And I remember, when I was young.
That's probably on 8 when I figured it out. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I never veered off. And I understand that the average age that someone wants to become a veterinarian is 10. And so it is the youngest professional call-in out of all careers. Did you know that? I didn't know this.
I know that. No.
Yeah. So so what that means is, generally speaking, by high school, most of us have our minds made up that we want to be veterinarians. So we as a profession need to really go further into middle school, elementary school, even preschools to make an impact to these children, to have this wow moment. And I'm really, really passionate about going to all different schools, inner city schools, schools that maybe don't have the accessibility to have veterinarians to come in to chat about basic things, about like dog bite prevention or how to pet a dog, or just choosing kindness to other animals. I feel like you become a better human being. So, but I knew when I was a little kid, I was like, oh, I like this. And then when I was in 5th grade, fun fact, Dr. Bryant, I started my own dog walking business. Look at me being my own little entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur. Awesome.
Right? And
Mhm.
I said to mom and dad, I said, well, I want to learn more about like dog behavior because I don't know too much about. So like by walking them and understanding like what their wants and needs are, it really gave me a really cool understanding. So I had 5 dogs a week. I made $20 a week, and it was like the coolest thing. And then when I took our dog to the veterinarian when I was young, they said to him, I want to be just like you. And he's like, well, when you're old enough, just come back. So when I was 14, I said, I'm ready.
Great.
So he's like, okay, like, because back then he's like, all right, we'll get you like around like, assisting animals and so forth.
Mhm.
And I went full circle. That's cool. And I went back to the practice.
You did the same practice?
Yeah.
You know what though? With me, I've always wanted to be a veterinarian, and I grew up. My mother's a beautician, and I grew up in a salon with her. And one of her customers was married to a veterinarian, and she arranged for me to shadow and see what he does. And first surgery I ever watched with him, I couldn't keep my eyes off it. It bothered my stomach slightly. I was feeling
Of course.
but I couldn't keep. I was convinced that was the path I was going. So made my mind early too as well. But yeah, those experiences early on in life are valuable, and we need to start reaching back. And also, it's kind of strange for me because I didn't have anyone else around to kind of guide me to say, or other examples in front of me to do it. But I just put in my mind, that's what I'm going to do. My parents always encouraged me to kind of dream big and go for what you want. And, in a sense, every generation has the ability to do these things. So,
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I butted in on you. You keep going because it's about you. Please, sorry.
No, I just love hearing that because everyone has that wow moment.
Yeah.
And when I talk about this to other veterinarians to go to schools, it does not take long for somebody to be like, I think I want to do this. And, and it's not just like about being veterinarians. I also say just to be kind. And I especially nowadays, I think by giving that unconditional love to animals, it really inadvertently teaches you to choose kindness overall. And whether it be reading, there's the studies that are now showing that like the children that are reading to dogs have higher skill sets of better literacy than those that aren't reading to dogs. So there's a lot of strength and power that happens with what we do with our animals, of course. So, but I'm just very, very passionate about that because all it takes is, it literally is a moment. I just want to share one quick story with the viewers out there, because this just to show you how much impact and representation means. And so I work with a camp called Vet Camp out in Long Island. I'm from New Jersey, so out in Long Island, New York. And these are inner city kids that come for a week during the summertime for Vet Week, it's called. And so they learn, they have like a structure to it. They do things, and by the end of the week, they get to shadow and hang out with a veterinarian for the day. And we structured it in such a way where they hang out with us. We have lunch. They can ask any question that they want. They go for a tour of the hospital. They get to see everyone, touch animals, do physical exams, because we really want them to be immersed, because we know that touching and feeling and doing really does help. And there was this one moment, there's a beautiful young little black girl comes by. She was 8 years old, and she saw another black veterinarian walk by. And she says, "You look like me." And she goes, "Yes, I do." She goes, "I think I'm going to be like you." And she goes, "Girl, you're going to be everything and then some."
Right.
And that was 4 years ago. And she is on her path towards being a veterinarian. From that moment, she knew that she wanted to be a veterinarian. And that's why I can't stress enough about the importance of representation and inclusivity, but also, really nurturing and fostering these relationships early on. It just really warmed my heart.
No, that's good. That's a great story. Wow. Yeah. But I mean, it does come from there. Just knowing that it's possible. If you see someone like you doing it, and he's like, "Hey, I can do this too."
Yes.
And everything. So yeah, that was great.
Just really warmed my heart. And now I check in with her parents. I'm like, "How's she doing?" and everything. She's like, she still wants to be a small animal veterinarian. She's doing great in school. And so when she's at the point where she's shadowing veterinary hospitals now. And how you can just tell when kids have it, like this girl, she's got it. She's going to be a fantastic veterinarian. So I'm so proud of her.
That's awesome.
I love the story. And veterinary medicine is one of those things that is in every community all over the world. So it's definitely a special, I've always saw it as a special type of calling, to be honest with you. And I do applaud. And matter of fact, I'm not sure if everybody knows, but today is National Veterinarians Day. So I want to be able to applaud the two of you for giving your heart and soul to all the critters in the world that really need you when they come across your doorstep. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's an honor.
Well, we had a question that came in, and let's see, let me find it. Here we go. And the question was, what are some holiday safety tips you can share with us?
Yeah, sure. Because 'tis the season for all these holidays. So
I know.
Yeah, right. You don't think, right? So taking a step back, think about like the company that you're going to have. You're going to have a lot of people that are going to come through the door. And so the number one thing, similar to when pets fly, talking about that microchipping, making sure that all that information is up to date, because heaven forbid, right, Dr. Bryant, that they go out the door.
Right. Some folks don't even realize it. Some might think, hey, it's okay for the dog to go outside the back door or the front door. Like, no, I used to panic. I had a little dog named Diamond that if you open the door, she was gone. I mean, we would be running down the street after her. So, yeah, you have to be really careful, microchip them so you can identify them if something happens and everything. Yeah. So, yeah, great tip. Great tip.
So making sure that the microchip is my number one thing that I always say. And then also number two is if you're bringing any food items, and I did a TikTok video of this, but it really does work, is like if you have something that has like that for human consumption, use Post-it notes, put tape on it. So that way the host knows that keep away from pets' reach, because you're going to have counter surfers. You might have cats that might be interested in that. So keep that stuff away, because sometimes if it's wrapped, you just don't know. Maybe the children are bringing it in and they're like, oh, this looks good. Let me put it under the tree. And so putting something really loud and that kind of catches your eye is really important, because they can get into some things that can cause either severe diarrhea and all those things. And nobody got time for that to like take their dogs to the vet. So that's number two. Number three is your tree. Okay, so let's talk about that really quick, Dr. Bryant, right? Because the cats to be kidding me. They love to go on the tree. And so
I wonder what it is about it. Why do they like to climb up inside it and everything?
I know it's just that intuition just feels good to climb and all that. So some pet parents will actually put, the car fresheners that you can buy for your car. If you put the lemon ones on there as ornaments, cats won't go on there. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, God. Okay.
That's good for you, Greta, since you have cats.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So if you
Where have you been all my life, Dr. Christman?
You're going to have to go to Costco to get like 10,000 of them to hang out.
Yeah. Wow.
No, you put like a few of them on. They don't like that scent, and they tend to like flick and go away or whatever. So that tends to happen. And then if you have a puppy or whatnot, it's always good to put the crate or a gate around that tree so they can't go in and either consume the water, because the water has chemicals in there if it's a live tree, for instance, or then obviously you want to tie that tree so it doesn't fall and crush any ornaments.
Long time ago, we had a dog named Bingo. He was Alaskan Malamute. We had a tree up, and all the ornaments were like little birds and everything. And he would come and snatch, I guess, assuming it was a real bird, would snatch it off and it'd be chewed up in pieces and everything. So you gotta watch the ornaments with the dogs too.
Watch the ornaments, watch those candles too, especially with cats. And then finally, as what I would say, is the food. So your basic things like grapes, raisins, 'tis the season for slow cookers and crock pots. So the onions and garlic, all those things, the smell smells so good while it's going for 5 to 6 hours. So the dog might want to jump on the counter and get in there. So just be mindful of those things that are around, because they can be really toxic. I had a client that her dog got into the 4-pound bag of raisins from Costco when she was baking oatmeal raisin cookies. Fortunately, she knew that they were toxic enough. And so, how like you give the injection to like induce vomiting, whatever. And so they tell you like count to 10, and by the 10 seconds, the dog easily just starts to vomit. So we gave her the injection. It was within 10 minutes. So we know we're going to get these out of here, So gave the injection 10, not even 2 seconds, Nelva. And they were coming at me like bullets all over me. I'm like, no. Like,
were you prepared? Did you have any something to cover yourself?
We were all ready for outside, because you were going to take the dog outside. But no, she just went projectile, full blown exorcist on me with raisins.
Oh God! Wow.
Every time I see raisins, I think of this dog because I'm like, oh my gosh, I was soaked in raisins.
Oh, wow. Well, their vomiting response was quick. Get that out of there fast.
Really good.
Well, I'm sure the dog did well after that, getting it out of the system. Good.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Awesome. So, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
but they have to be aware that, I mean, again, I'm glad you mentioned it because of all the things that are potentially toxic to pets, even the plants too. What about some plants and stuff during Christmas?
Yeah. So like poinsettia, mistletoe, those are the ones that are like probably the more common ones that you could see associated with it. I just saw one of my friends, actually, he just posted a really nice post about some of the plants that are out there too. And there was Christmas cactus, holly leaf and berries, yew plant, English ivy, amaryllis. And then, of course, like the Christmas tree itself, just because it could be, the needles and all that stuff can cause like GI obstructions and things like that. So, yeah.
That's a really nice list. Now, let me just throw in there as a pet parent. So it's funny, Dr. Christman, because you flew through these things and literally were questions that came in. So that's why I was trying to put up the tags of the questions as you were talking. But if we break each one of them down, I knew poinsettias were really bad for cats. And then again, a Christmas tree is just a big old plaything for cats. And I'm glad that you listed those other types of plants that are poisonous. So let's say that your cat or dog gets into them by accident. What are there like immediate medical things that the pet parent can do until they get them to the doctor?
Absolutely. So calling the pet poison helpline is probably the number one thing that they can do. They're there 24/7. Even pet poison hotline is another one. And either one that you recommend or that you look up, they're going to give you a case number and they're going to give you instructions on what to do. And if you don't have a veterinarian, because believe it or not, some don't, they can find one for you within a matter of seconds and find one that's actually open depending on the time of day in which this happens. So all those things are crucial because, depending on whether or not you induce vomiting, believe it or not, sometimes, my friends, you don't have to, depending on the length and time of when it happened. You might need to do something called like activated charcoal. You might need to hospitalize them, run some blood work. But trying to get a plan in place. And then once we get that case number, as veterinarians, Dr. Bryant and myself will go ahead and follow those instructions even further to figure out what needs to be done.
That's perfect. I like that. That's really good. Instead of someone saying, instead of giving what you should do as far as that, give them information so they can provide them what to do and everything like that.
Right.
As far as
and ASPCA hotline, they have stuff like they have the chocolate wheel toxicity. There's now an app that you can actually get through. Betaquinol has one. Pet Poison Helpline also has a different app that you can actually get in your iTunes, Google Play. And you can actually type in what they got into and consumed and how much that you can think of. Because sometimes you may not know how much, like how many grapes they got into or, what's the volume of certain plants. It's hard to measure those things. But it gives you an idea, at least, and guidance. And then if you go further, then, of course, you can, call the hotlines and then get them in right away.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And let's not forget, I know we mentioned some other things, chocolate. Well, this specific thing on chocolate is not just milk chocolate, right? It's going more with the dark chocolates, too.
Yeah. And, interestingly enough, something that I sat in, one thing that I do here in DVM 360 is I sit in a lot of continuing education. And so I'm always learning. So one fun thing that I learned is chocolate toxicity shows different signs based on the type of chocolate that they consume. For example, the white chocolate can show more neurologic signs than, say, the dark chocolate. And
I did not know that because, to be honest with you, I thought dark was the problem and white and milk chocolate I thought was fine. So it's all across the board chocolate now.
Yeah, so it's all across the board. It's all the type, the amount of chocolate they consume and the different types of chocolate. But the number one is obviously, as we know, is the baker's chocolate, that theobromine one. That one can certainly cause some significant problems with chocolate. And then the other thing too I want to mention is xylitol, so sugar-free gum. Some certain peanut butters have that in there as well. And then, believe it or not, like certain things that dogs like to get in things like mouthwashes or whatnot. So xylitol can significantly and rapidly lower the blood sugar of a dog or cat with an instance where they can actually pass out, have a seizure. And really, it happened to me. I had one dog that ate just 2 pieces of sugar-free gum. and had to be hospitalized within a matter of a half hour. Like the blood sugar just dropped instantaneously. So yeah, so those are things just to keep in mind.
Dr. Christman, just to touch on that for a moment, because I know that peanut butter is pushed as, a treat for dogs and, for people to hide pills in. So I know you mentioned xylitol being in peanut butter. Is that like a sugar-free peanut butter, or what should people watch for?
Yeah, so the sugar-free ones, like certain ones like the Jiffies and ones that you're most likely, I would say the ones that you're comfortable using are the ones that should be okay. But ever so often, just look on the back of the bottle just to see if it has xylitol, Xylitol in there. And, the ones that are for pets, they all know about that. So they're never going to obviously produce a type of peanut butter that's for dogs that's going to have that in there. But if you do stuff that you have in your house, just kind of like look at the back of that really quickly and just to make sure that you're good to go.
Okay, that's fantastic. And since we're on foods, is there, could you and Dr. Bryant maybe list some foods that everyone should keep their eyes on? Because, especially those dogs always getting into stuff. So, I know you mentioned the raisins, so we won't have to go over that again. But are there anything else like craisins or cranberries or isn't there something with turkey or something?
Yeah, so cranberries are perfectly fine to give, actually, which is good. It actually has some data showing urinary tract health. However, you have to give enough of them to promote. That's why I like the supplements instead for that. But so if they do get into them, perfectly fine. I would be careful of like certain nuts, like macadamia nuts, for instance. Like those can cause some toxicities. And then we talked about grapes and raisins. Avocados. Yep, you got to be careful of too, especially the nut, the pit in there. Yep. And then there's things that can cause like obstruction. So like corn on the cob, for instance, right, Dr. Bryant?
Oh, that will kill them. Yes.
That is a doozy.
Yes. It goes in there and it won't move. Moving through the intestinal system, it gets stuck and nothing can go around it and it just sits there. So it's a major emergency.
Yeah, that's a doozy of one to be careful of. So yeah, so I think those are like the general ones to be mindful of. And I just thought of one, it's not a food, but linear items too, especially for your cat parents out there, the linear format like strings and Christmas lights and tinsel and garland, even like dental floss, they get into these things that you'd be surprised. So always just be careful of that if you're having guests or company over and they go into the garbage and the cats are there. I had that many a times. Like I keep my dental floss away, but I had my guests that came, they used it and I didn't know that they went into the guest bathroom to use. Like the things that animals get into never ceases to amaze me. Oh my gosh, Nelva, I had this dog that got into just a smidgen of Gorilla Glue. Does anybody know what this does? I didn't know until.
What is it? No, I had no idea what it does internally.
Oh my gosh. So this dog looked like he was pregnant. And so he ate just
and it was a male?
Yeah, and it was a male dog. And so my technician's like, Dr. Christman, I'm not kidding. This is the male dog. He looks pregnant. And so we go ahead and we took an x-ray. And sure enough, his belly was completely distended. And of course, he had to eat a box of nails because why not? You're a chocolate lab. So let me just go ahead. And so I had to take him to surgery. But he to this day, he's doing great. But he had to peel back all of that Gorilla Glue off the lining of the stomach there, take out the nails and everything. But this dog survived and did fantastic. So just a quick, if you're doing any holiday crafts, keep that Gorilla Glue far away.
Wow. Amazing.
Oh my God.
You wouldn't get into that, but goodness gracious. Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? We had a very good question that was submitted in that I want you both to take a stab at. So a parent, I'm assuming, is planning to give their puppy for Christmas. And can you give any advice on what to do in the first few months? And at first, when I read that, I was like, and I have to remember, everybody is on different levels of how much they know about animals. And someone was telling me, whenever you think a question is so easy, always remember to speak to the person who's never been in this situation before. So I'd love for both of you to take a crack at this.
Yeah, I'm sure this season there's going to be a lot of first pet owners, the first time ever having a pet. My neighbor across the street was asking me about getting a Maltese for her daughter this Christmas and never had a pet and everything. So yeah, there's going to be some first time pet owners coming up soon. I think really well, I'm going to go into something that I said before initially. Crate training, extremely vital for many reasons, for house training and also for potential pet travel. So
Right.
I will stop with that. What do you have, Adam?
Okay, I got some really cool, innovative stuff, pet parents out there. So listen up for this. So one thing, though, I want to preface is, remember, this is a lifelong commitment. So it's a wonderful gift, don't get me wrong, for Christmas, but please remember that this is a living, breathing entity and a species in your house. They're going to get sick. They're going to need wellness and preventative care. So budget accordingly. This is what you're going to do. You're going to DNA test your puppy. Why did I just say that? What is he saying? What is he talking about? This is the reason why. DNA test, because in 2022, 2023, it's one thing to know what they're made up of, but now, my friends, they have genomic sequences. In other words, you can tell if your dog or cat may have a precursor for back pain or back surgery or kidney problems, heart disease, eye problems, dental disease. And what is that going to do?
Does it test for allergies?
Not yet. No, they don't have that just yet. I know, it'd be great.
That's going to be a great addition. Yeah.
It gives you those good genetic precursors. But why is that so important? And at our practice, we make that mandatory. And the reason why is it's a conversation to have for pet insurance. Because if you know that your animal is going to have something, now you better bet your bottom dollar that you're going to get pet insurance, because they may come down with something. So, and pet insurance companies now know that the DNA companies are there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't count as a pre-existing condition. It's something that you're going to be mindful of. So number one is DNA test. Number two is you're going to get yourself pet insurance for sure. Now, we get asked this question all the time when I do TikTok live streams, Dr. Bryant, like, Dr. Christman, which pet insurance? Everybody has different budgets. Right. Everyone has different budgets. So the one that works for you, and maybe some of your vet hospitals have wellness plans, wellness packages. So maybe you don't need to deal with like the wellness component of those insurance companies. Maybe you just want the sick component, depending on what that deductible is. But please, on behalf of all veterinary professionals, get pet insurance, please. I can keep going. I have two other tips. Okay. I have so many great hacks for you all. This is so good, because thank you for submitting this question, by the way. This is fantastic. And so Dr. Bryant touched on this too, is the crate training. Behavior starts early. So you can start as early as 9 weeks of age to start training your puppy. All right. So we want you to make sure that they have a great experience, from veterinary visits to flying. So desensitization. If somebody says, hey, can I play with your puppy? Can I hold him? You better say yes. Different smells, different voices and tones. Those are so important to interaction, so dogs don't get super clingy, and also decreasing the whole factor of separation anxiety, knowing that things are going to be okay if mommy or daddy or whoever leaves for a few minutes. So train. Positive reinforcement is so important. If they're getting their vaccinations on, chances are they're getting a little bit of peanut butter. That's safe. Something to make it like a positive experience. And my last plea for you is to ask questions. You are your pet's best advocate. Yes. We are on the same side of the exam table with you, but we don't know what your concerns are. And I say to my team, if it's a concern to you, it's a concern to me. So if you worry about that tiny, tiny little mole that might be a nipple, then we're going to chat about that. If you worry about this large mass that's growing, we're going to talk about these things. But come prepared to ask questions. We want you to be more proactive than reactive.
Definitely. Love it. Only thing I'll add to that, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Get them comfortable with touching their feet and their ears and their mouth, all those things. Get them comfortable with that, because that's it. We're going to have a nail trim at one point. It'd be nice if you can do some dental prevention, brush your teeth and what have you. The ears, just get them accustomed to what we do in a practice setting as far as maintaining your pet and everything.
I'm laughing because I keep saying this all the time, ladies, but I really do mean, like, I have a video for that. I have a video for that. I really do. So I have a video for that. And
but you know what? I got to say this, Adam, I love your videos. The one I saw fairly recently, you were defining the difference between regurgitation and vomiting. And I was like, I love that, because it matters. Folks don't understand there's a difference, and it's telling us different things based upon if it's either regurgitation or vomiting. So loved it.
Thank you so much.
Question: have you done one related to the reverse sneeze? If you have, I haven't seen it, but reverse sneeze, there's another one.
So, okay, everybody, listen up to this. And so I swear we have ESPN. So so I did a reverse sneeze video that went viral, that got me where I am today on TikTok. It's 21 million views.
You need to pull that back out again. I want to see it or something. I think you need it, because so many folks say, oh, my pet, I saw him recently. It said, my dog is making a strange noise. He's coughing.
Yes.
I have been in the clinic all day. I didn't hear a peep besides him barking at another dog. And I said, maybe it's a reverse sneeze. No, it's coughing. I was like, I didn't hear him cough. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and people literally think that either the dog is dying, having a seizure, or whatever. And I always preface this like there could be a combination of those things. So I never want to be like, oh, it's a reverse sneeze. But when I show them the hack on when you close the muzzle, one finger over the nostril, it stops the attack for the most part. And so it really, the amount, I mean, I'm not kidding. There are thousands of messages that I've received from pet parents around the world.
I'm blown away by you, Adam, because I believe what you're doing with social media, you are definitely helping to benefit the pets, the pet owners, and also the veterinary profession with everything else you're doing. So I'm blown away by what you're doing. And what really initially pulled me in as far as seeing you is your 4 dachshunds, and I can't believe you have 4 of them. I barely have time for one dog. She's about the size of your dog, all 4 of your dogs put together. She's a American Bulldog, about 85 pounds. So, but I can only do it one, at least at this time. So I don't know how you do it, but that's what initially kind of pulled me on seeing some of your TikTok videos, and they're hilarious.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love, because, I, as a veterinarian, I hate to say it, sometimes you lose track of your why because you're so busy with what you're doing.
Right.
And I am very intentional about showing on social media my why, which are my 4 children, of what I get up at. My reason for breathing is right behind me on this wall. And it makes me so proud. And so I pepper that in with my educational content, because I'm a dog dad, just like many of you out there. I'm a pet parent. And so I know what that feeling of stress, urgency, concern, I can't get in to see my veterinarian for 6 weeks, help me. And so my goal, my mission is to really help close that gap on education with pet owners and veterinary professionals together. And when I show these 4 weans, of course, they're hilarious. And you're right though, Nelva, they are so high maintenance.
Yes. No, they're cute.
High maintenance.
They are. No, the sweetest things. They're really. Wait, which one is the one that always runs it? I remember initially that it would grab your slipper and run down the slide.
Yes.
It was hilarious.
Clark W. Griswold is the culprit right there. Yeah. And it's so funny. I got him from a breeder in Canada, and people were asking where, and his breeder reached out, and he's like, we're booked because of like my people reached out to him. He's like, we're booked for like 4 years. Cause you want to like strategically. And he's like, so you don't have to recommend it. Thank you so much. But they want a lot of Clark W. Griswold.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's sweet. Look, they're thinking it's genetic that every one of the offspring will run and grab the slipper.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
That's so funny though.
Hey guys, I want to just reverse just for a second so we can have a teachable moment. What was it? Hardy knees or reverse knees or
reverse knees?
Reverse knees. Could you please teach us what that is and what people are looking for?
Straight on my stuffed animal that happens to be a dachshund.
Perfect.
Of course. So listen, everybody. Now, certain dogs have the long snouts. Okay, so it's a little bit easier to do this. And I'll show you if you have like a Frenchie. But the reverse sneeze is an incredible amount of air that's going in and out of both like the oral cavity and the nasal cavity too. So they do the whole, so that's what it is. So what tends to happen is all these different things need to shut down for a moment so they can catch themselves. So you gently close their muzzle and you just put one finger, gently place it right over the nostril, just like this. So they have the other nostril that's available, not 2, just 1. And it will stop the attack. Now, if you have a dog that's pushed in like a Frenchie or pug, then you just put one finger over the nostril, and sometimes you can just massage the throat a little bit, and that tends to work as well. So, but I have videos on that on my TikTok channel about it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Again, you're bridging things instead of with your information you're providing. That can maybe save a hospital visit because, again, they're so worried that something's wrong. And again, like I said, I had a dog that sat there all day long, and I was like, I didn't hear a peep out of him.
Right.
So, so that's great.
Now, is that something common for dogs? Because I've never seen that with cats my entire life. But I want to ask.
Yes, no, great. Thank you for that. Some cats do it, but most cats do that as a sign of respiratory distress. So it could be either like asthma is bothering them. So you'll see cats that do the that kind of a thing, or open mouth breathing, which is not normal for cats to open mouth breathe. So it tends to be more of a different issue. This tends to be more of a dog issue. But again, I had 2 cats in my career that did the reverse sneeze. So.
Okay. Thank you both. I heard you say it and you flew right over it. Sometimes when you're talking to somebody in your world, and I was like, hello.
Yeah.
Well, we have another question that came in. Where is it? Here it is. And I wanted to address it before we left our thing, our talk. And it talks about obesity. So how do you know if your pet is obese? And do you need a veterinarian to guide you, your pet back to healthy weight? So I guess somebody's figuring they'll just make them eat less. But I figured I'd pose this question to you guys so you can help us out.
Thank you for this question. I'll start a little bit. I'll say that obesity is defined as usually 20% over their ideal body weight. And so you may not be able to calculate that, you meaning pet parents out there, but there are some visual scores that are available that Dr. Bryant and myself are familiar with. Now, I'm a 1 to 5 kind of guy. Are you 9 or 5?
I go to 9. I go to 9.
You go to 9.
Yeah, 5, basically 5 to 9. Yeah, with that scale. So
right,
5 is great. I mean, ideal is. I mean, yeah, 5 to 9. If it's below 5, that's not good. So
right. Okay, so what we're referring to is something called a body condition score. I have a video for this, by the way, and it's you can work with your veterinarian because sometimes you may not know. Otherwise, you might be in denial too. You don't want to hear it. And obesity is a disease, and I'm going to say this twice because this is how passionate I am about this. That obesity is a disease and it's reversible. Obesity is a disease and it's reversible. Dr. Bryant, I can't think of other conditions in vet med that you can actually say that with, that you can reverse it. Diabetes, manageable. Cushing's disease, manageable. Cancers can certainly be treatable, but reversible is so possible. So, here again on this dog, there's 2 ways that you can look at them, over them and on the side view. And so when you're looking at them over this dog, and I do a 1 through 5. So 5 being obese, 4 overweight, 3 ideal, 2 under, and 1 emaciated. So just to give you an idea.
Okay, there you go.
So, all of you out there, if you want to write in the chat, if you're looking at your dog or cat right now, comment in the chat. What do you think your dog or cat is? Are they ideal, which is a 3? Are they overweight, a 4? Or write a 5 if you think that they're overweight, and watch. So when you look over them, they should have a normal waistline to them. So almost like an hourglass figure that you see, you put your hands on it. It kind of takes a little bit of dip on that 13th rib, and they have that nice little abdominal waist. And then on the side, they should have an abdominal tuck here, something like this that you see. It has that like nice little tuck that you see there. So that would be an ideal 3. Now a 4 would be a little bit of thickness that you feel. So you can't really feel their ribs, but like it's still a little bit thick tissue. You lose that abdominal tuck that's there. It doesn't go up. It kind of just goes a little bit more longitudinally. And then also on a 5, that's obesity. So that's when they're significantly overweight. They're rounded. There's no abdominal detail or tuck noted at all. So those are the ones that you need to get them on some regimen. And the regimen it's easier said than done, right? It's certainly with people. Some people are more prone to obesity, and the same thing for our pets. So, I always want to set our pet parents up for what I call, I don't use the word success. I use yes is what I call
it. But folks,
I can't with you right now. I can't.
Folks get sensitive about it. Don't you realize a lot of times folks get sensitive about that topic? What I've been doing is I'll just say, hey, we all have that little bit of COVID weight,
right.
We've all, a little sedentary. So we've got to work towards exercising, I believe. Well, and maybe tell me if I'm wrong. I feel that exercising and also dietary restrictions, not necessarily, I don't necessarily, my thought is you don't necessarily have to go on diet food for pets. I figure feed them what they like, maybe a lesser amount, and increase also our exercise with it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I have done that too. Other options is sometimes I'll have that Labrador that I'll be like, Doc, you sit by that door. You let me know, like he's still hungry by the food pantry. What am I going to do? So that's where we talk about changing the diet to a higher fiber consistency so they feel that they have that satiety feeling. If you're interested in home cooking, there's a fantastic website called balanceit.com.
Mhm.
It works with a board certified veterinary nutritionist along with a veterinarian. You put the ingredients that are in there because some dogs have food allergies or whatnot. So you can certainly do that. The bottom line is there's no excuse right now in 2023 that we have so many great modalities. There's therapeutic diets, there's home cooking for them.
Mhm.
And then you talked about exercise. Some of them are so obese that I've sent them for physical therapy, like hydrotherapy,
Mhm.
underwater treadmills, physical therapy, just passive range of motion, just to initially get that weight off of them, and then taking them for short walks, and then celebrating a win. And this is really important too, pet parents. Like if you have an obese Chihuahua that's like maybe a pound over, and they came in and you reweighed them in a month and they lost 3 ounces, I parade that. I shout that from the rooftops because you have to be your pet's best champion, like we talked about earlier, and celebrating those wins, like because 3 ounces is significant to a Chihuahua, so that's definitely worth celebrating.
That's good.
Yeah.
You have fun with it. I'm sure your clients love you.
We did the Biggest Loser campaign. It was really competitive and all that stuff too. But we do like the before and after pictures, so that way we get their buy-in because I'm not the one feeding these dogs and cats. I need these clients to really feel what we're doing because I said to them, I want you to pretend that I'm in that scene from Ghost, the pottery scene. And like I'm holding your hands and we're going ahead and we're measuring how much food we're giving. Oh, it's a heck of a cup, my darling.
So good. That is so good. Yeah.
Question to you guys. Now, this is going to probably sound far-fetched, but it's in the pet parent world. So are there animals that, okay. So I'm going to back the question up because the question kind of sounds crazy before I put it up there. The question is, are there big bone animals? And I think where that's coming from is some people say they're big bone. So are there, I guess that's to say, are there pets that are prone to be heavier than others?
Look, you get a Cane Corso or something, and you're big, or a big Great Dane, you're big. But
that's not a far-fetched question. I agree. You have those blockhead, gorgeous golden retrievers too. You know how they have that white head, and some people think that like they're obese or overweight, and they're really not actually, because that's what their structure is, depending on the line or the lineage that they come from. And I would say the same goes for like the Rottweilers, certain pitties too, pit bulls. You think that they're overweight, but they really are just solid. They're just solid.
Solid.
Just solid. Like, I'm going to use them as my bouncer,
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's great. I actually have a question from earlier in our comments from Nancy Hassel. She was wondering where on Long Island, because she's from there, is your vet camp?
While you're chatting, I'm going to look it up for you so I can get the website for you and I can put it in the chat for you. Let me see. Hold on one second.
When you were talking about that, I absolutely loved the idea. And, I've never heard of it either. Maybe it's something that, so more that can be created. Like down here, Dr. Bryant, in Georgia.
I mean, I do have a few connections in some schools. Need to look into it further, but it would be something nice to have down this way. Yes.
Can I put something in the chat, or is it private chat?
Yeah.
Here, I can put it here. I have it here. It's called vetsummer.com. But I put that there.
Summer, and that's every year?
It's every year that they do it. So I put it in the private chat for us. If you wanted to screen grab that, you can. But
yes. And I just posted it as well.
Yeah, and you'll see that I'm on there with them, and we have such a blast with them every year. And I don't know like logistics on when it is like every year, but definitely reach out to them. It's a great organization. There's another company. While we're on this, and I'm not going to stop. Wait, you got to look up. Everybody, do me a favor to check out Vet Set Go, because there's a problem with a lot of like kids that want to get experience with becoming a veterinarian, but maybe they're not old enough to be at a veterinary clinic. So Vet Set Go is a good friend of mine, Dr. Chris Carpenter, put it together. It's a whole program. There's a book that's available too. I'm putting it in the chat for you as well too, vetsetgo.com. is the name of the website. And it gives you some really great pointers, like if you want to work with rescue groups, shelter medicine, farms, marine life, different things, because there's so many different veterinarians that are needed in different areas. So that's great. Vetsetgo.com.
Fantastic. I wrote it down as well, and I'll make sure we share it on our social medias, Dr. Bryant, so that we can share this wonderful news as well.
Yep. All right. I don't know if we noticed, not trying to cut everybody off. I love the conversation's been going. We have 5 minutes left, so we need to. I know.
I feel like
it was so much fun.
No.
I don't want us to slam off in midstream of something. So I just want to give the warning kind of thing. But gosh, Dr. Christman, I'm so thankful to meet you. I believe I was on LinkedIn, and then I saw you on TikTok, and then thank God that you invited me to do a presentation with Fetch, DVM Fetch. And then last night, oh my goodness, you had no idea how wonderful that presentation last night.
Can I hype you up for a second, everyone? Can I just have a moment to just talk about how amazing Dr. Bryant is? And I don't know if you have a guest that does this, but it's my turn to say how awesome you are. Listen, everyone that are tuning in. This woman is so crucial to veterinary medicine because there are not many of what she does, of her caliber, of her expertise, and of her kindness. And last night's webinar that we had was the highest commented webinar that we've had all year in DVM 360. We put on a lot. And so she's creating conversation. She's doing things for the greater good of these animals that are traveling. And you may or may not know this. There's a lot of gray zones that we as a veterinarian don't know necessarily. And Dr. Bryant, I truly put her as our captain of the ship and guiding us along these waters of like some things that are difficult. So you need to make sure you follow her and get all that information as much as possible because her veterinary colleagues are following her as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a vital area. And guess what? We need to have more veterinarians come in this direction too.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. So, yeah. And if you guys just want to laugh, come hang out on my TikTok channel. I do daily.
I do.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying to your viewers too, because I do daily live streams every night. Fun fact, I've been doing it for 3 years. I've never missed a day. Even when I was sick, when I was on vacation, I do live streams. I answer as many pet parent questions as possible. So come check me out. Me out. See what I did there? Me out.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, Greta, Dr. Adam, I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yes. Happy holidays to you. I figure, Greta, if you can take us out and maybe introduce what's going to happen next, and we'll be all set.
Absolutely. So in the next week, we'll actually be talking to Sharon and Teddy, who here in Georgia, they are huge pet influencers. Lots of brands work with them and lots of people respect them. Sharon is a wonderful woman who all she does is travel with her pet Teddy, and they do their very best to help educate pet parents in things to raise a happier, healthier pet. And that's what we're all about here. And then the week after that, I believe is Friday the 23rd, we will be Dr. Bryant and myself, and we will have a contest and giving away Sherpa bags, about 4 Sherpa bags. And we will announce the winner on the 23rd. So look out for our flyers on that. But yes, we're doing a contest so that we can make sure at least 4 great parents are giving away or using Sherpa bags in their travel.
Awesome.
Hope you all can join us. Dr. Christman, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us. And we look forward to supporting you in all of your endeavors.
My pleasure. It's an honor. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.